Good afternoon. Welcome to the Leadership Winston-Salem March Leaders and Lunch webinar. For those of you who may be less familiar with Leadership Winston-Salem, we are a nonprofit organization that works with over 100 community leaders each year to educate, connect, and energize them to serve and improve the community through the flagship and insight programs. Hosting webinars like this is just one of the ways that we continue to educate our class members and stay connected to our alumni. At this time, I would like to introduce our panelists for today's webinar. P. Lee Covington came to Senior Services in August 2015 as the Chief Operating Officer, bringing with him more than 26 years of experience in nonprofit and management and leadership. Lee attended Elon University, majoring in business administration and finance with a minor in music. He later completed a master's in public administration from UNC Greensboro with a concentration in nonprofit management, and more recently, an executive certificate in nonprofit leadership from Duke University. Lee also has served as the president of the North Carolina Association of Aging and Meals on Wheels North Carolina. Currently, he serves on the boards of Age Friendly Foresight and the NC Adult Day Services Association. Lee is also a proud member of the Leadership Winston-Salem class of 2016. Thank you for joining us today, Lee.
Thank you.
Renee Griffin is the Creative Agent and Partnerships Officer for Senior Services, and she leads the agency's Creative Connections Department and is responsible for coordinating 21 partners and programming designed to provide daily, intentional, intergenerational interactions at Senior Services in the Intergenerational Center for Arts and Wellness. Renee has 25 years of nonprofit experience in North Carolina's Aging Network. She is engaged in both program and research development and managed home and community-based services administered through the Older Americans Act. She's also led efforts that resulted in national accreditation by the Alliance of Information and Referral Systems and Senior Center of Excellence accreditation by the North Carolina Division of Aging and Adult Services. Renee is also a proud Leadership Winston-Salem graduate of the class of 2022. Joel McIver is the Vice President for Community and Engagement and has led the Senior Services Community and Engagement team since January of 2017. During that time, he's prioritized storytelling as an avenue to share the organization's mission, participant stories, and the impact that senior services programs have on the lives of older adults in Forsyth County. He believes in making our community more aware of not only the challenges older adults face, but also the valuable contributions they have made and continue to make will increase the interest and support of this often overlooked and frequently most vulnerable segment of our community. Joel is a graduate of Winston-Salem State University, as well as High Point University, our neighbors down the way. He is a soon-to-be member of the Leadership Winston-Salem family. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
We are thrilled to be here and to share information about our latest exciting adventure. We don't assume that everyone knows what Senior Services is about. So we're going to start with a little bit of contextualizing there. I'm going to give you a little bit of background about what we've been doing over the last 6 or 7 or 8 years that led us to this place where we are today. Renee will talk with you about those 21 partner organizations, including Senior Services. And then we're going to bring it home with Joel talking about engagement and volunteer opportunities. So let's jump right in here and talk about why Senior Services has existed since 1962. We're really about helping older adults across Forsyth County remain in their homes for as long as possible, aging with dignity and living with purpose. And we do that through a variety of programs and services that you see listed there on your screen. Perhaps the most well-known is Meals on Wheels. We just launched our 74th daily hot meal route here in Forsyth County. We've done our work since 1962 with the help of tons of volunteers, an active army of about 1,400 volunteers at this time. We have about 115 staff. 65 board members over 3 boards. Yes, that's a lot of boards and a lot of board members, but it's manageable. And then about 3,000 donors that help make this work possible. And this year, our current operating budget is around $9 million. So how did this idea get started? Well, back in 2016, we had launched a capital campaign called Aging with Purpose and began some pilot efforts to really look at exploring what would happen when we brought people of different ages together, when we brought arts and creativity into the mix. And you see there that first bullet, Kindred Music International. That partnership dates all the way back to 2016. We brought young children and their caregivers into a space with older adults, most of whom were living with memory loss. And the result was magical. And in fact, Kindred Music has now licensed that and is marketing that as Kindred Music Bridges. And that program that started right here as a pilot in Winston-Salem is being spread across the country. At that same time, we also partnered with School of the Arts to bring live music, the students bring the live music to the doorstep of Meals on Wheels recipients. We partnered with local artists to do a series of one-on-one art lessons in the homes of older adults who were living in isolation, and conducted a couple of small studies in partnership with the Wake Forest University School of Medicine. Late 2016, early 2017, we completed a countywide randomized telephone survey of over 1,000 older adults, gave us a treasure trove of information. And what you see on your screen now is kind of a high-level summary of some of that data. It really confirmed what we already knew. But older folks were looking for more engagement opportunities, more places for physical and mental health promotion and sustaining, more support for caregivers, specifically for caregivers who had loved ones who were living with memory loss, dementia, and Alzheimer's. More recreational opportunities, classes in computers, events with children, cultural activities and events. Social isolation was a clear issue and concern. This was before COVID. So imagine during that whole COVID process, and we're still climbing out of that, as a lot of organizations and people are. And then lack of access to quality health care. So diving a little more deeply, we look specifically at the zip codes right around us, and you'll see our location in just a second. But folks who are living in the 27105 and 27106 zip codes, and that at the time represented over 18,000 older adults who lived in those 2 zip codes alone. So we asked them about social activities and how they feel they were doing. Well, you see there, 39% said they'd really like to be doing more. Only 4% were doing too much. And so that 39% represents about 6,500 folks just in those 2 zip codes that are closest to us. You see there, the yellow outline is actually the North Ward, and that's for purposes of showing our location. The little white dot in the center is Wake Forest University. We're just to the south and east of Wake Forest. And you can see how we fit snugly right in the middle of the county boundaries. So when you look at that prevalence of folks who said they wanted to be doing more socially, the darker colors indicate that stronger need. And you can see that clearly in 105 and 106. We asked about access to healthcare services. 7% said somewhat they had access, 3% said no, not at all. About 1,700 older adults. And again, until we opened the new Intergenerational Center a few months back, there was not a family practice healthcare clinic in this area. There is now. But you see that strong lack of access to healthcare in the 105 and 106 zip codes. We asked about caregiving, and folks indicated whether or not they cared for someone or helped arrange care for someone. 31%, or about 5,200 folks in those 2 zip code areas, said yes. And then we asked them if they got any relief from those responsibilities. And again, about 31% said no, that they did not get any relief. That's about 1,600 caregivers who are caring for someone else without any relief from that role. You see that represented here again on the zip code map. Those who are caregivers, and then those who have no relief, with stronger prevalence in 106 and also in the Kernersville area. So all of that, the pilot programs, the research that we were doing from this treasure trove of data, led us to some internal conversations about next steps and how do we take what we're learning as well as what we had read and learned from surveys and studies over the last 20 years, and really do something focused on intentional intergenerational connection, arts and wellness, and overall health. And so that led to having conversations early in 2018 with the then executive directors of Family Services and the Sawtooth School for Visual Art. Interestingly, both of those folks have now retired, but the folks that came in and took their place, we got them on board quickly and kept the train moving forward. Going to toss it to Renee now to talk a little bit more about why intergenerational and why arts and creativity.
Thanks, Lee. One of the questions that people ask us all the time is, what is this intergenerational stuff? Why is Senior Services interested in intergenerational? Have you changed your mission in any way? And of course, the answer is no. As Lee has already alluded to the fact, we really were able to see through programs and services that we had started providing, as well as research, that everyone seems to thrive and do better, have a better quality of life when they're able to engage in relationships that cross generational spans. And so we tend to have this desire to put people in boxes and put the older people in one area and the younger people, the children in another area, and teens in another area. But really, research shows and our experience shows that people do better when they have an opportunity. They have a fuller life when they're able to engage with people across all generations. And the same kind of goes for arts and creativity. There is a ton of research that shows how good arts and creativity is for all of us. And so we really are looking at providing opportunities for that intergenerational interaction through the lens of arts and creativity. Because, again, the research shows that there's a better quality of life, that people tend to thrive, have a better sense of well-being, and that I believe strongly that all of us are creative. All of us have some ability to be creative, and those opportunities, whether we're engaging in the arts or we're a participant in an audience, they all help us feel better. One of our favorite pictures is the lady in the bottom photo. At the time, she was 100 years old and living with cancer. And we were providing some in-home art lessons for her. She didn't know that she was an artist. She didn't know that she would enjoy painting. But what her testimony to us was, when I'm painting, I feel no pain. That's why arts and creativity.
Thank you, Renee. So all of that led to many, many internal conversations and this plan of doing something new and bold. The plan included creating a new space for our award-winning Williams Adult Day Center, which used to be across town right up from Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist Hospital. And so this new center is the home now for that Williams Center. So we, back in July of 21, launched a capital campaign. And if you think back to what was happening in July of 2021, we were all knee-deep in the midst of COVID. And so who thought it was a good idea to launch a $27.5 million capital campaign during a worldwide pandemic? Probably not a best practice. We did it, though, because we were on the campaign calendar, and that was our reserved spot. So we really had to move forward with that campaign. The good news is that I think in at least a little part, because of COVID and some of the federal funds that have been available, we have surpassed that goal and raised $28.1 million to date. So we're really thrilled about the success of that campaign and excited to share the results with you today. So what you see on your screen now is a colorized floor plan of the new Intergenerational Center for Arts and Wellness. It encompasses about 62,500 square feet of interior space, so it is a fairly large building. Going to run through the partners real quick. We've got the Williams Adult Day Center in the bottom right there. That's about 15,000 square feet, so about a fourth of the total square footage. Just to the left in the peach color, dedicated space for Family Services and their Child Development Center. In the middle, the yellow space is dedicated for the Hispanic League. The smaller magenta space here is dedicated space for Hands-On Northwest North Carolina. Coming on around, the light kind of minty green color dedicated space for Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist and their STIC Center for Healthy Aging and Alzheimer's Prevention. Across the way, dedicated space for Novant Health. Yes, we do have Atrium Health and Novant Health in the same building, right across from one another, and it's working out beautifully. To the right, the small lime green colored space is dedicated space for Second Harvest Food Bank and their Providence Culinary Training Program. It's called Generations Cafe. You'll hear a little bit more about that in just a few minutes. To the right, in the lighter green, 2 dedicated spaces for the Sawtooth School for Visual Art. And then the light colored kind of tan or light yellow spaces, about 20,000 square feet of shared space that is utilized by all 21 partners. So we've got a teaching demonstration kitchen here. We've got a classroom. We've got a large multi-purpose space that can be a variety of things, including pickleball. We've got a stage and movement studio here. There's a wall between the two that's movable so they can function independently or together as a performance space. We've got 2 gallery areas, a north gallery and a south gallery. We've got a computer lab, meeting spaces, and then connecting all of that is the central atrium that we're calling Main Street, and that'll make more sense in just a second. There are also outdoor areas. So the day center has its own protected outdoor space. There's an outdoor courtyard here with Winston-Salem State, which I forgot to mention a moment ago. My apologies. The purple area there is dedicated space for Winston-Salem State and their Health Sciences Department. A large playground on the north side of the building and 2 outdoor play spaces here on the south side, one of which is an intergenerational play space that is shared between the Child Development Center and the Williams Center. I mentioned Main Street. If you haven't seen it yet, this is the artist rendering that our architect did many months ago. And I always think it's kind of neat to compare the artist rendering with the actual. And so this next photo is the actual shot of Main Street taken recently. And hopefully you'll agree with us that it's a pretty close match with the artist rendering. When you first come in the western entrance, you will see this charming little area here. That's the Generations Cafe, again, operated by Second Harvest Food Bank. And I point that out specifically to you all today because it is open to the public, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's a great place to come and have lunch or breakfast, coffee, bring colleagues, bring family, friends. So we hope that you will add this to your list of cool places to hang out. We do have Wi-Fi. You can bring your laptop and sit there on Main Street and work for a few hours and just be a part of that experience. So hopefully you'll take advantage of that soon. I'm going to toss it back to Renee now for some more in-depth conversation about all of those partnerships.
So as Lee pointed out on the floor plan, the names of our partners in blue, those are the partners that we call our dedicated space partners, meaning they have that physical space in the building. The ones that are in black, that are listed in black, are we call our shared space partners, meaning that while they don't have a physical space in the building, they are bringing their programs and services into the building to share with the community. And as you can see here, they're all highly respected partners and organizations that we're all familiar with in our community. So before we even broke ground on the building, we really began thinking about how are these partnerships going to exist together? And we wanted to start out right away by establishing the type of culture we want to have in the building as we work together. And so we developed a collaborators agreement, and we asked all of our partners as we started having conversations with them. We had them sign it because they were saying, yes, we understand this vision and purpose, and we're agreeing and we want to be a part of that. We also leverage some existing relationships we have. We have a large grant from the Administration for Community Living around Alzheimer's disease programs. And so we have partners in that grant. It's a 3-year, $1 million grant that are also partners in the building. That allowed us to begin leveraging those existing relationships, getting to know each other before we moved into the building, because we knew that the project that we're working on together was going to be able to be expanded upon as we live together in the new building. All of the partners were asked to identify an internal champion. It didn't have to be the person at the top of the organization, but it needed to be someone who had some decision-making capacity for the organization. We also hired an independent facilitator, someone from outside of the community to really help us as we began to pull those partners together. And one of the first things we did with the facilitator was to refine the collaborators' agreement and develop what we call the collaborative charter for partnership. And there we specify our commitment to intentional intergenerational interaction, our commitment to transparent and vulnerable communication with one another and holding each other accountable. So here's a small video from some of our partners.
I was really excited. You know, the heart of everything that we do at Hands On is a collaborative partnership, right? There's work, we couldn't do the work that we do without partners, both organizational partners, volunteer partners. And so this idea of the Collaborative Center for Arts and Wellness was sort of a no-brainer to us. And something that we had been thinking about, like how can we get different nonprofits together in a shared space to kind of nurture collaborative programmatic possibilities, because it's not just about the shared space model, right? It's not about one just being able to share those kinds of expenses, but it's really about what does that proximity allow you to do programmatically.
And what I've learned over the years as being in human services is that oftentimes the services that individuals need to help build their resources and become sustainable human beings in the community often aren't located in one location. They often have to travel from location to location to location to get what their needs met. And then oftentimes because of transportation issues, which we also know our community struggles with here, can take weeks for one individual to get everything they need. So I see the Intergen Center as a way to have our older citizens who may have some limited resources be able to come to one location and get some of their needs met, whether it be interactive experiences with children, arts and culture, nutritional advice to medical care, all possibly in even one day.
So that's clearly a video left over from our campaign. But to get back to how we got everything rolling, we started off with a partners retreat. It was a half-day retreat, and we did some activities around getting to know each other and, of course, some icebreakers. But really the highlight of that time together was we did what we called speed planning, which is a little bit like speed dating. We intentionally placed partners who may not already work together or may have never had the opportunity to work together, or perhaps didn't see their purpose and missions really aligning that well, have an opportunity to talk about, let's brainstorm. How can we work together in this space and create intergenerational opportunities for the people who come into the building? 15 minutes later, we rang the bell, people rotated, and they sat down with someone else and had the same opportunity. And that really was a great way to kind of set our level of expectation about how serious we are about the intergenerational aspect of our partnership and for people to begin to get to know each other. We also had some one-on-one lunches with our partners, particularly with our health and wellness partners, because for some of them, it was a bigger stretch to think about, you know, how do I partner with these other organizations in a way that's intergenerational? This is what I do. And so we wanted to make sure we understood how they were feeling. Did they have questions? Were there any concerns that we needed to alleviate? We engaged in community building activities. You can see in these pictures here, we had a topping off ceremony when the final metal beam for the building was set in place. And we invited all of our partners and stakeholders to come and sign and leave messages on that beam. It is now placed in the building in a place kind of behind the scenes, but where it can still be visited and people can see the messages that they left. We stayed in contact with people through a lot of surveys throughout the process to kind of keep information flowing between our monthly partner, we call partner roundtable meetings. We created some volunteer opportunities. That's another way for us to get to know each other and build better relationships. So as Lee mentioned earlier, we do provide Meals on Wheels in Forsyth County. And in March, we have a campaign that's called, as a part of Meals on Wheels America, that's called March for Meals. And so every year we invite champions to go out into the community to engage with our participants and deliver meals. Well, we had our partners in the Intergenerational Center deliver meals together, and that was a great team building experience. And we did, of course, lots of site tours, which we continue to do, but lots of site tours for the partners so they could see their spaces as it was creating, answer questions. We did media, board tours, whatever they needed. So they always felt like a part of the process. So in addition to our monthly partner roundtable meetings, we had what came out of that were 6 subcommittees. I won't go into a lot of detail around them. I think they're pretty self-explanatory, but the purpose statement committee was really about us defining what our purpose is. We're all part of other organizations, so we weren't creating mission statements. You can see here what the vision statement and the purpose statement are. One of the first activities we did was we had 3 public art installations at the building. One is a beautiful mural on 30th Street. If you haven't seen it, the artist, Ramon Bardwaj, and his wife, Courtney, are at the bottom right picture there. But we had 2 community engagement days where we invited people in the community to help paint the mural. And then, of course, Ramon went back and put his finishing touches on it. And here's a video of our open house and ribbon cutting on November 17th.
The building is fantastic. Having done all the work that we've all done to raise money for it has been fantastic. But what's going to happen in this building is going to be spectacular. It's going to make quite a difference in this community and throughout the country.
Isn't this a great day in Winston-Salem? Intergenerational Center. It's for everybody. Intergenerational. It is helping to bridge the gap and to create that bond that we hear so much about now, about people that have lived generations.
It is indeed my joy and privilege to welcome you all. When we first started planning this event, my internal team said we'd be excited if we had 100 folks show up. Never imagined that we would have 855 people registered to be here today. 3, 2, 1.
The Intergenerational Center for Arts and Wellness is officially open.
Oh my goodness, there's so much energy in here. You walk around and you just feel so welcome. You feel like something has been planned just for you as a senior. And you come in here and you feel all this energy. You see all these young people and you see the children and you see all these wonderful partners that have come together. This is an awesome opportunity, and especially an awesome opportunity for this neighborhood, which is in the North Ward. We don't have anything like this anywhere around here. And I think it's a wonderful platform for people to come out and get excited about what's going on as we mature, not necessarily grow older, but as we mature, and we do it gracefully and we do it with energy.
So these are just a few quick pictures from that day, and also that shows some other intergenerational activities that are already taking place in the building. Lots of opportunities, both at our Williams Adult Day Center, classes at the Sawtooth School, on our stage and dance and movement studio. That's an intergenerational Zumba class, and you see some drumming that's happening there with John Beck. And then right there in the center, the symphony had a petting zoo, and that's a young man who's very intent on learning a little bit about the cello. So coming soon, we have some really exciting things that are happening. On May 31st, we're going to have a kinship care movie night where we'll be showing Spider-Man outside, and the entire community is welcome to come. We want to really use that movie as a way to highlight the needs of older adults who are raising their minor relatives, grandparents raising their grandchildren. It's free and open to everybody in the public. Cancer Services will be having their Survivors Day celebration the following day on June 1st. And then on June 22nd, we're having what we're calling the Blooming Together Garden Party. It's an intergenerational arts festival that'll be open to the public. So we hope that some of you will come and join us. And that picture there is a picture of a sculpture that is going to be one of the second public art installation that's going to be hopefully ready by that time. It'll be be placed on the east side of the building near the Adult Day Center and Winston-Salem State's entrance. It's called Blooming Together, and we're excited about it. It's a 21-foot sculpture, and we think that with the sculpture and the mural, we're really creating landmarks for the community. And this is the calendar that's on our generationcenter.org website, where people can find out about the activities that are happening at the center. If you place your, you go up to the top and you click on events and classes to get to that calendar. And then when you move your mouse over the different activities, you can get a little snapshot of what that activity is about, and then you click on it to go and register. So all of the registration is handled directly by the partner who is providing the class. So some of them are provided by Senior Services, but all of our partners place programs for the public on the calendar as well.
So thank you, Renee. You've heard the saying that a picture's worth 1,000 words and a video perhaps is worth many more. Our internal team has created a beautiful time-lapse video that will give you some idea of how this went from a paved parking lot that was really not being used a whole lot to this beautiful new Intergenerational Center for Arts and Wellness. So hopefully you will enjoy kind of this sped-up time-lapse construction video.
What began at that time with two really simple conversations over lunch with two organizations, the Sawtooth School for Visual Art and Family Services, has grown today into a collaborative effort now including 21 organizations. This new Intergenerational Center for Arts and Wellness will be one of a kind in North Carolina, and we think across the U.S.
We are so glad that you're here today, and we're thankful that this project is nearing the finish line. Indeed we are. So you might imagine that there are just tons of ways for you to get engaged and involved, and we will toss it now to Joel McIver, who will close us out before questions with those opportunities. So Joel, I will stop sharing and toss it to you.
Thank you, Lee. Hopefully everyone can hear me. I will share my screen now. It's so awesome to be a part of this project and to see it go from an idea into what is an amazing building with amazing people. And I feel blessed to have been a part of it. But I think it's also important that we share with you all that or remind you, senior services exist basically to help older adults remain in their homes for as long as possible, aging with dignity and living with purpose. And so that does not happen without the community. That does not happen without the support of the community. So I did not want to let this opportunity to get by us without sharing a little bit about how you all can get engaged with senior services to help us keep our mission moving forward. So today, primarily, I'd like to talk to you all about volunteer opportunities. This ship doesn't go without volunteers. And we have a few volunteer opportunities, lots and lots of volunteer opportunities, actually. But some of the main ones I'd like to talk to you about are our Meals on Wheels program, our Elizabeth and Tab Williams Adult Day Center program, and Creative Connections, which is a new program that we're doing that Renee is over, and as well as administrative opportunities for you all to get involved. So to start off with Meals on Wheels, each weekday we deliver about 1,100 meals to older adults who are 60 years of age or older, who have difficulty leaving their homes, and also have trouble preparing meals for themselves. In addition, those volunteers provide a safety check and an opportunity for those older adults, many of whom don't see anyone else during the day, to engage, make sure they have a nutritious meal. So we would love to have any of you who are interested in that. It generally takes between 60 and 90 minutes to deliver a route. You can deliver once a month, once a week, once a quarter. We want to make it flexible. We want to make it easy for you, but we really want you to get involved. It's hard to even explain the feeling that you get delivering meals. I do it once a month, and it really, really just energizes my day. It reminds me of why I come here every day, because it's to help people who need it. So we also have our Elizabeth and Tab Williams Adult Day Center, and it caters to people. Many of them are living with memory loss. A lot of them have frailty, so they cannot be at home alone during the day. And as Lee said earlier, it's difficult for caregivers who don't get a break. The day center allows caregivers to go shopping, go to the bank, run their errands, do the things that they need to do to keep the house going. But it also allows many of them just to continue working. So there are plenty of volunteer opportunities at the Williams Center. I like to say it's the place where the magic happens. You go in and it is one of the most joyful and humbling and amazing places that you could spend a little time in. There are lots of people there who are living with Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia, but that's not the point. The point is that they're there, they're having a great time, they're forming relationships, they're not living in isolation, and we really want to make sure we need volunteers to help with several of the things that happen there every day. There are activities, there are meal service, and helping to transport them from the Williams Center to various activities that are happening in the Intergenerational Center for Arts and Wellness. So there are tons of ways to get involved. Right now, we have a special need for a few volunteers to come in the morning to help with check-in and check-out. It would take probably about an hour or so. You can come in, help them to get situated, greet them, make them feel welcomed, and it's a great opportunity. I would love for you all to think about getting involved in that way. Our Creative Connections program is our newest program, and it focuses a lot on art and creativity. Renee and her team put on just tons of creative arts classes. There's drumming, there's painting, there's basket weaving, all kinds of things. acting classes, you name it, they pretty much do it to find ways for older adults to be creative. But another aspect of what Renee's team does is there are volunteer opportunities to make friendly calls. Many of the people we serve live alone and they're isolated. And we've all heard that isolation can be as bad as smoking 15 cigarettes a day for your health. We want to reduce that. And making those friendly calls is a really simple way to spend some time improving, spreading joy and sunshine to someone's day, and letting them know that they're cared for and they're not alone. There are also opportunities to deliver plants. As we're getting into the spring, there's the Lawns of Love activity where you can just go out and help make sure that an older adult's lawn is maintained and trimmed and mowed and those sorts of things. So yeah, it's just an amazing, it's amazing for me to witness the community get involved in these things, but we always need more volunteers. We need more people to help to make sure that the participants in our programs are able to continue to live at home and be supported. The last thing I really need to talk about is, I'm trying to keep my eye on the clock, are group engagement opportunities. This is super important to us and we're really proud of this. If you're a member of a group, let's say Leadership Winston-Salem, and you wanted to volunteer together, we will take this group engagement guide and it has like a menu of opportunities and ways to connect with senior services, to volunteer, to donate, and all kinds of things. But if your group would like to get involved, we'll find something for you, something that fits your availability, your skill sets, whatever it is. It's a fun way, and we also really make sure that we highlight and publicly thank those groups who come to volunteer with us. We have opportunities and groups that have come in to help count donations. We have groups who have come in to beautification projects, all types of things. Groups who come in and help with chair volleyball at the Williams Adult Day Center. There are tons of ways to get involved with your group. And whether it's Leadership Winston-Salem, whether it's your faith-based organization, other civic groups that you're involved in, your business, we'd love to have you. And so if you're interested in any of these things that I've talked about, we want to make it easy. All we need you to do is contact Tyler Smith, who's our volunteer and community relations coordinator, and he will sit down with you, really work out what will work best for your group or organization, and we'll make it happen. And of course, if you want to volunteer as an individual, that's great too. Just very quickly, we want you to stay connected. We want you to know what's happening at Senior Services. So please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, X, and we also have a pretty robust, as you saw from the videos Lee showed, YouTube channel. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can stay up to date with what's going on with Senior Services, and also what's happening with the Generation Center. We have a Facebook and Instagram page there. There are some wonderful things happening. There are other volunteer opportunities there. There are tons of programs. We want you to get involved. It's there for the public. So please visit generationcenter.org to keep up with what's happening. Did I make it on time?
Perfect. 12:45.
All right.
So Frida, I guess we've saved some time for questions, and I think you're going to facilitate that for us.
I am. So one of the first questions that was posted in the Q&A was, are all the partner spaces staffed full time?
So by full time, do you mean traditional 8 to 5? The answer would be no. Many of them are, however. But for instance, the Sawtooth School, for example, they wouldn't have instructors there during all of those hours. They would have instructors there when they're teaching classes. Now, often there is a program person there, and frequently they leave those spaces open. So that is an example. The Winston-Salem State folks are not necessarily there 8 hours a day, but most of the other spaces are staffed full-time.
The person who posted that question, I don't know if that is what you were thinking of. If it isn't, please let me know and I will shoot it back to Lee to answer. I'm going between the Q&A and the chat function, so please bear with me here. What are volunteer opportunities? I think we did cover that very succinctly in terms of individual and group opportunities for volunteering at senior services. The participant said, I volunteer with your wish list packing party for seniors. That's actually one that you didn't speak about. So if you want to elaborate on that, that'd be great.
If I can get unmuted, I will. So every year we do a Remember in December item drive in December, and then we do a Christmas in July item drive in the summertime. And we do that to raise, a lot of the people we serve are on fixed incomes, and they're choosing between medication and rent. And so there's not a lot of money left for those personal items, soap, dishwashing liquid, laundry detergent, those sorts of things. And so we ask the community to make those donations of those items at those points in the year. But when they all get here, there's a lot of it. And we ask various groups to come in to help us to count them, to sort them, to then pack them so they can be delivered into the community. And the groups who come in always have a good time. It's fun. We try to keep things fun here. So if you come to volunteer senior services, we want it to be a great experience for you.
Thank you, Joel. Lee, one of the questions I believe, and this is open to any of you to answer, but one of the questions that came was, could you reiterate information about the performance areas, size, capacity, any built-in equipment for sound and lights, that kind of thing?
So the gallery theater space and the second blooming stage, which are those two large areas with the wall that separates them, can function as a full performance space. In fact, the 40 Plus Stage Company had their most recent weekend performances here. And so it's got full theatrical lighting, full sound system. It's equipped with a high-def cinema quality projection system, 7.2 surround sound. And so in theater style, it can seat, we think, about 180 folks in chairs. And then again, those two spaces can function separately for meetings and events as well.
Thank you. And I'm just going to kind of further, I don't believe that information, does it sit anywhere on your website? Or is it more of a, you have to talk to someone there?
Yeah, thanks for the follow-up. And what I should have said is right now, spaces in the building are limited to the 21 partners who are engaged with us. We need to live in the space for a while, probably for the rest of 2024 at least, to determine space utilization before we open it up to other potential partners from the community. So if you have an interest, please reach out. But right now, the answer is we're probably going to put you on hold for a little while and say, come back to us in about 9 months.
Thank you. I think that actually, before I go to this, another question that was in the chat, I think that was a follow-up. There's a question in the Q&A that says, what's a good time of day for a performance? Michelle, if you want to elaborate on that, is that for a performance that is already being planned as a programming aspect of the Generation Center, or is that for an outside organization to schedule? I think Lee covered the answer. If it is for an outside organization outside of those 21 partners. And while she's putting that into the chat, I'm going to move on to this other question here. Kevin says, this is such a special and unique concept. Have you pitched any of the national broadcast news about doing a feature piece? If they don't bite, NC PBS might be interested.
So, but yes, thank you. We're working with Wildfire locally on regional and national pitching of this idea. We had a bite initially with an online magazine and blog where they ran a story, but from that we've not gotten a lot of good positive feedback. I will tell you that some of these ideas were featured on a PBS North Carolina show about a year ago. And so we promised them at that time that once the building was done, we would invite them back. And hopefully we can get that NC Impact show, which is a 30-minute show that runs every week. We'd love for them to come back and do a full show on the Intergenerational Center. So stay tuned, we're working on it. But if you have any contacts, please let us know.
I'm glad you said that part. I was going to jump in with that. If you all know someone, please let us know.
Frida, I don't think you all can see me. This is Renee. I did want to let people know that they can go to the website. If they'd like to have a tour of the building, there's a form there where we're doing tours now on Fridays at about 11:30. And so if they'd like to have a tour of the building, they can sign up, and we're doing them that way. If you have a group that wants a tour, then you can reach out to us directly and we can work with your schedule to make that happen.
And that's generationscenter.org.
Jared, if you wouldn't mind throwing that link up in the chat, just to make you all aware, we've been placing several of the different links and websites for more information in terms of event calendars, ways to volunteer. Again, the link for signing up for a tour, those are all going to be in the chat function as well. There is one more question. I think it was really related to a video that you all showed. Someone asked, is that Linda Cole? I don't know who Linda Cole is, but
that is Linda Cole.
Okay. So
Who is
tell us who Linda Cole is.
One of the most awesome volunteers ever. I mean, all volunteers are awesome, but Linda's been with us for at least 5 years, working in administration in our administrative offices. Just always there, always has a smile, always, what can I do? How can I help? And actually, so many of our volunteers have that attitude. It makes my heart just, thump with pride that people come, they help, and they feel so happy to do it, to be here. It's amazing.
Okay. Well, thank you. Kevin Mundy said he's the one who asked, is that Linda Cole? And he then replied and said, she was my assistant, I think in 1992, 90. Kevin, I'm not sure. You've got 5 numbers there at Legs. He says to tell her hello from Kevin. So
hello from Kevin. I'm writing it down right now, Kevin.
Kevin Mundy. Hello from Kevin Mundy. Jared has also placed into the chat function the link for tours of the Intergenerational Center. And he says, thank you. I feel like I'm the middleman person in between here. At this time, I don't see any additional questions or in the chat or the QA function. But please, if you have others, we've got a little bit of time here. I would like to thank you on behalf of Leadership Winston-Salem for your time today. It's our sincere thanks for the work and all of the thought behind this project. The Intergenerational Center is phenomenal in and of itself. I do not think that anything like it exists, especially in our community, especially in North Carolina and in our country. So please, if you have not seen it in person, the videos and the pictures and the information here presented today, while wonderful, there's nothing like walking into the building. There's nothing like seeing it in person. So I implore you to take the time to actually go physically to visit. The Generations Cafe is amazing. I have had coffee and lunch there. And it's wonderful. And again, run by other of our community partners in the community who are helping to showcase their skills and helping to grow people in our community, and have the better quality of life, just like the goals of the Generation Center. Thank you for all your work to bringing this wonderful asset to our community. This is the time I remind everyone on the call, it is recruitment season for Leadership Winston-Salem. If this webinar struck a chord with you and you'd like to know more about what we do and what all the buzz is about, please register for an information session on our website at leadershipws.org or use the link that Jared is placing in the chat. If you're already an alum and know of someone who would love to experience Leadership Winston-Salem, please go to our website and click the Nominate a Candidate button or use the link that Jared has placed in the chat. Just a quick reminder that Leadership Winston-Salem is a nonprofit organization that relies heavily on the support of individual donors and corporate sponsors to provide the array of programming that we do. If you enjoyed what we offered today, please consider making a gift to the organization on our website by clicking the Donate Now button or using the link Jared's placed in the chat. Thanks to you for joining us today. Thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you, Lee, Joel, and Renee.
Thank you. Have a good one.